Hello, everybody. Welcome to Free Write Friday. My name is Jessica Lynn Johnson, and for those of you who don't know me, I am the founder of Soaring Solo Studios, which is a company dedicated to coaching, developing, directing, producing solo theater with wonderful solo artists all over the globe. And I work alongside Heather Dowling, who is also an award-winning solo theater artist, coach, and director. And we love what we do, getting to help people tell their stories from all over the world. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. And just a tiny bit of background about me. I'm a solo artist myself. I toured for over 13 years with my two different solo shows. Oblivious to Everyone was my first show. My second show was Z. And I've got ideas percolating for a third. But beyond that, I also write a blog called Soaring Solo, and you can find that on the NoHo Arts website. You can also find it on the Soaring Solo website. I am on the advisory board with the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival, and I've had the pleasure of developing and directing over 175 solo shows at this point and produced hundreds. So it is absolutely my passion and what I love to do. So I would love to hear from you. Please say hi in the chat or in the comments if you're watching this back later on YouTube, and let me know where you're at in your solo theater journey. I would love to hear more about that and maybe where you're tuning in from if you're not in LA or somewhere else. Okay, so Free Write Friday is a little bit different than my Saturday morning class, which is a 90-minute format. And Free Write Friday, we don't do Q&A and sharing of work. It's really just an opportunity for me to give you a prompt and for you to get some writing done. And it's usually done in about 15 to 20 minutes. It's just a quick but meaningful investment in your solo journey and progress. Okay, so with that said, we are going to jump right in. So the talking point for today is the concept that there are no villains. There are no villains in good writing. So I was going to go in a very different direction today, and then I got a client of mine sent me a blog article written by Michael Jamin, which was about the White Lotus. And I'm not that familiar with that show. I've seen a couple of episodes, but it was just talking about one of the reasons that that show is so well received, in addition to being written well, directed well, and acted well, is that there's no real villains on the show from Michael's perspective. And then he went on to talk about another project. He said, a few months ago, I was sent a pilot presentation to watch. In it, there was a villain, an evil boss who stabbed her employees in the back at every turn. She was just a giant bitch. I suppose the writers either thought this was supposed to be funny or they thought it made her a formidable foe. From my perspective, it was just terrible writing. I didn't believe for a minute that this character existed in the real world. She was simply a two-dimensional character, a complete work of implausible fiction. So that was Michael's perspective. And then when talking about the concept of good writing in The White Lotus and etc., he said, there are no villains. There's just wounded people in conflict with other wounded people. Everyone is right. Everyone is justified in their actions. This is good writing because it's three-dimensional. It's not a caricature. So I think this is super important when it comes to solo theater, especially if we're writing autobiographically, because of course we don't want to cast ourselves as the bad guy in our solo shows, and so it's easy to villainize other people in our stories. But I think you can feel that when you go see a solo show and you're like, okay, wow, they really hated their mom, or they really hated their best friend, or they really, whatever it is. When there's so much animosity, and especially behind the portrayal of a character, it can really harm the overall integrity of the solo show. So I'm not saying this is easy to do by any means, to play the villains as though they're not villains, and to even give them the grace to see them that way. It's not easy, but it is important work. And so I'll give you a couple of examples from the Soaring Solo community. So I worked with Tatum Langdon on her show Redeem Her. And in Redeem Her, Tatum and her husband Kevin are having some problems in their marriage, and she ends up cheating on him. And this is after he's mistreated her multiple times. And as we were working on the show, the development of the script, it just became increasingly important to her that we that we show the human side of her husband and her human side. And so it became just it was a real exploration of how does a marriage break down? How do relationships break down? Why do we fall in love in the first place? What was it that drew us to someone? And we showed multiple moments where they got along, where there was connection, as well as the points where there was the disconnect or emotional abuse or whatever you want to call it, that led to the ultimate demise of the relationship. So we really wanted to make the characters well-rounded and real. Or in Kamakshi Heart, I worked with her on her show Wild at Heart, and she has the character of shame. And even a character like shame, that's a personification of shame. We wanted to have it have dimension. And so, toward the end of the show, you realize that shame um, is really just trying to help her stay safe. But it only has the tools that it has and knows to do that. So we dug into the intentions behind shame, and she kind of repurposed the relationship with that character. So those are just a couple of examples where the playwright was very intentional about wanting to find extra dimension in the characters they were creating. So what I'd like you to do for the next 8 minutes is I want you to think about a villain, someone who you might cast or have cast as a villain in your life, and allow yourself to consider other aspects of the dimensionality of this person. Maybe you start to think about for the first time the kind of childhood they may have had, or trauma that they may have endured. Um, Maybe they were indoctrinated by some sort of fundamentalism and that affected how they treated people. But try to see a different angle, a different way of looking at this person, or maybe it's a different way of looking at yourself and your interactions with that might change the dynamic between you and that person. Were you stepping out of your power? Were you as honest as you could have been? Was there anything that you did that mistreated them, or whatever the case may be? Whatever allows you a different access point to bring some more dimension to this villain. So I'm just going to give you 8 minutes to free write about that. This does not need to flow. It can be a messy first draft. It's just about exploring the villains in your solo show and how you might approach them with some more depth and humanity. Okay, go for it. About 5 minutes left. Two minutes left. Okay, please wrap up your writing. Hopefully you made some good discoveries with that, and it's at least on your mind and starting to percolate as you create your characters and tell your stories. And I would just say, as kind of a final thought with that, solo shows are not just about the final production, the final draft, the final script. The solo show journey is also about the journey itself, the process that we go through and how we transform as people and as artists in the creation and the performance of our shows. I've had so many people be like, the creating a solo show and performing it was better than 15 years of therapy. And it can be, and it can also offer the audience such a big gift too. And that's why I think doing the work at this level is really important. When I was creating Z, um, I had a lot of characters that I played that at first glance, I was like, I couldn't be more different from these people, and specifically challenging characters were ones that were adamantly opposed to the LGBTQ community, of which I am a proud member. So it was really hard to step into their shoes and to authentically portray them and their point of view. But at the end of the day, for me and my mission with that show, I understood that if I played them as these like one-dimensional, just like buffoons, I wasn't going to reach anybody on the fence, and I certainly wasn't going to reach anybody over the fence in the other direction. So I had to do a lot of, spiritual and forgiveness work, and how to have hard conversations and research and a bunch of stuff. And it's not like I could put a nice little bow around it even today, but the work that I did in the process certainly transformed me, and it allowed me to do a better job of performing that show than I ever would have been able to do had I not done that work. So it's work in progress, but I just want to encourage you to be thinking about the villains in your show and how you might bring more dimension to them. Okay, with that said, in the chat, you will see I put a bunch of announcements. We've got lots of cool stuff happening in the Soaring Solo community. So I'm teaching a bonus free class tomorrow in partnership with the LA Women's Theater Festival. And so that's the Art of Creating the One-Person Play class. Although tomorrow I don't think we're going to be doing any prepared work. We're just going to be doing writing prompts led work that I'll be doing. So that's tomorrow, Saturday, March 22nd, 10:30 a.m. to noon. 12:30 to 2 Central, 1:30 to 3 Eastern. That is on Zoom. The way to sign up for that, though, is not through my website. Just email me at soaringsoloartist@gmail.com. So that's soaringsoloartist@gmail.com, and just say, I want RSVP for your free class tomorrow, and I'll send you the Zoom link and other information. What else can I tell you? If you ever want to work with Heather or myself in a more professional capacity, one-on-one, small groups, power pairs, intensive special events, any of that stuff, again, just email me or fill out a comment card on the website contact page. Sorry, and we'll get back to you. And then we also produce an event called Revealed, which is a virtual reading series that Soaring Solo co-produces with you. And you present your work in progress solo show script to a virtual audience, and we get feedback, and we have a nice, robust conversation afterwards, and we figure out what's working, what's not working, so that your script can be the best it can possibly be before you're adding all the technical bells and whistles, memorizing it and performing it. So we do that. It's an ongoing experience that we do. So if you're interested in learning more about Revealed and being a part of it, email me and ask to know more about it, and I'll tell you. And the next FREEWrite Friday is happening Friday, April 18th at 10 a.m. Pacific, noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. You can always watch back all my FREEWrite Fridays. I think I have over 50 of them at this point on my YouTube channel. So go ahead and check those out there. And I've got hundreds of videos on my YouTube channel about solo theater. So check it out. And we've got lots of festivals happening all year round. Right now is the Binge Fringe Festival, and Yannicka Olin is going to be performing. I think it's tomorrow. I put this in the chat. Yeah. Tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Not sure if she's streaming her show if you're not in the LA area. I can't remember, but you could check on the Santa Monica Playhouse website. Her show is called Imperfect or I'm Perfect, depending on how you look at the title. And it's just a wonderful multi-character, multimedia show. And it's a free show, so you can go see it for free. And again, if it's streaming, which again, I'm not sure if it is, you can check it out that way too. So you'd have to check their website for that information. And you can just sign up for your free ticket at the Santa Monica Playhouse website or look at my website to be led there. And Mary Bazmajin, who's a wonderful Armenian comedian. She's so funny, but she also has such depth and is a master of characters. She is doing her encore performance from the Solo Star series this Sunday. That is not free, but if you use your Soaring Solo discount code at the box office or online, it's just Soaring Solo, all lowercase, all one word. You get discounted tickets, I think for like $15 or somewhere thereabouts. It's an awesome show. And that's called Mom, Are You There? So it's a mother-daughter and also just self-love, growth, finding your authentic self kind of story. So those are a couple of shows happening this weekend. I always say go see shows so that you can see what works and doesn't work yourself. And the last thing I would say is my blog. I put that in there, the NoHo Arts blog. If you want to check it out, the link is there to take you to my blog and see if any of the blogs there can help you wherever you're at in your journey. So hopefully you got a lot out of today. It was so wonderful to spend this time with each of you. And I will pop off, but I'll leave the chat open for a little bit in case you're still jotting things down. Okay. Bye, everyone.